And we're back. We're going to keep talking about these things. We're going to keep talking about it. So, as we continue on with this, it's also important to note the order directs the Health and Human Service Secretary, which is sadly Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He is such a. Your father, Robert Kennedy, F. Kennedy, is literally rolling in his grave. This is ridiculous. Anyways, HHS Secretary, Health and Human Services, to take action to end gender affirming care through Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act, ACA, aka Obamacare. The law's major non discrimination provision, which includes protections on the basis of sex. While the Biden administration interpreted sex protections to include sexual orientation and gender identity, it is expected that Trump's administration will seek to remove these protections, as was the approach during his first term. Despite the executive orders and future guidance, courts could continue to rule that such protections exist in statute. On March 17th, the Veteran Affairs VA announced that it would phase out providing gender affirming care to comply with executive orders. Exceptions include veterans already receiving hormone therapy from the VA or veterans receiving such care from the military as part of and upon their separation from military service who are eligible for VA health care. The VA will not provide other gender affirming medical services. Keep in mind, transgender people have already been banned and forced out of the military. The second term of Donald J. Trump. We transgender people were also banned during his first term. Except this second term is even worse because literally active duty service folks that happen to be trans are being forced out. They don't even get to have honorable discharge. Specifically targeting trans people serving in the military and discriminating against them and forcing them out is transphobic. This isn't just about you not liking us for being trans. The statement writes that the historical VA had provided a range of gender affirming services and letters of support encouraging non VA providers to perform sex change surgeries on veterans. These services have been authorized under the now rescinded Veterans Health Administration Directive 1314, Article 4. There have been multiple legal challenges to this order, with some judicial actions that have paused aspects of the implementation. With the bulk of these happening in February of this year. So February 4th, there was a lawsuit filed in federal court challenging the order on the grounds that it uh, usurps congressional power, violates Section 1557 of the ACA, and is unconstitutional. And on February 11th, a temporary restraining order and memorandum opinion was issued requiring restoration of web pages, data sets, and other resources needed to provide medical care identified by the plaintiffs. That's right, they are literally erasing history. And not just for transgender LGBTQIA plus people, also for people of color in general. Like if you're African American, if you look at you're African American, Black, Asian, Pacific Islander, Latino, Hispanic, Indigenous, Native American, etc., 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 they're rewriting all of us out of history. If you look at what's going on at the Smithsonian, which is the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C., they're literally trying to remove anything discussing slavery. So again, you thought that it was only going to target a very specific demographic, and little did you know you would be getting thrown into the fire right along with the group that you didn't care about. This is what happens when you're selfish. This is what happens when you are a single issue voter. I'm just going to keep saying it. Selfish, closed minded, ignorant, and stupid, you end up screwing yourself in the process time and time again. Okay, there was another lawsuit filed February 4th, challenging the order and the executive order on protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation, asserting they are openly discriminatory, unlawful, and unconstitutional. Then, February 13th, a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order preventing the federal government from withholding or conditioning funding on the basis of providing gender affirming care. An additional lawsuit was filed February 19th by the National Urban League, the National Fair Housing Alliance, and AIDS Foundation of Chicago, challenging three executive orders: ending radical and wasteful DEI programs and preferencing, defending women from gender ideology extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government, and the ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity as usurping the powers of Congress, violating the Constitution and the Administrative Procedures Act, and seeking declaratory and injunctive relief. In their complaint, plaintiffs highlight the potential harm this order could bring to people with HIV and LGBTQ plus communities and the programs that serve them. Yes, cutting funding to people living with HIV, cutting funding to research so we can actually have cures and vaccines, better treatment options, etc., is a public health crisis nightmare from hell. We literally have a vaccine for HIV. People don't have to contract it. And people who are living and thriving with HIV are under attack because if they don't have access to treatment, they can potentially become sicker, and that HIV can turn into full-blown AIDS. They can particularly transmit the virus and disease to other people, etc. So again, you thought that targeting a specific demographic wasn't going to impact you because you weren't a part of that specific demographic. Little did you know, a lot of you are friends, family, dating, in relationships, having sex with people who are living and thriving with HIV. You need them to have access to healthcare just as much as you need to have access to healthcare. Again, being selfish is going to ultimately be the destruction not only of this country but of this world in general. You can't just be constantly thinking about yourself and only about yourself. Wake up, folks.